Hello, welcome everybody. This is episode 1 of The Beaten and the Damned. It is a Percy Jackson inspired mini-series, and we are using the Demigods Quick Start Guide as our system. My name is Kelsey. My pronouns are she, they, and I am also the communications director for this lovely channel right here, TTRPG. Just as a little bit of housekeeping, I want to plug this Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific is the next episode of Age of Wonder. We have a special guest, Brian LeBurge, reprising their role as the Red Phantom from Halcyon Pride. And as fate would have it, I am also your herald for this evening, otherwise known as the GM or Game Master. And I have a really great cast with me tonight. We're all giant nerds, and we love the Percy Jackson series, and this definitely is not just a way for us to live out our childhood fantasies of being campers. So I'm going to have them all introduce themselves in just a second. But before I do that, as we have announced on Twitter, for every sub that we get on this channel between now and the finale of this show, which is in May, I will be giving the players a magic item of sorts to help them along on their adventure. So if you want to see any of the items that I have on my big, long, fun list of things, spread the word. And now, without further ado, we're going to introduce our players. We're going to have them introduce themselves, their character, their godly parent, and then we're going to get started. And we're going to start with Allie.
I don't know why I agreed to go first because I don't know how this goes for this.
I didn't want to.
Hi, I'm Morgan, also known as Imaginatrix on the interwebs. Find me at Imaginatrix on pretty much any website. I'm mainly a cosplayer, but I'm here today playing Althea Cooper, known as Allie. Do I just is that it, or should I describe the character?
Yeah, we'll get into descriptions in a little bit.
That's what
just
I
do that for now. We can do longer
perfect
intros at the outro.
Then that is and my pronouns are she, her, and that is my introduction.
Thank you. All right, next we are going to move to Viren.
I thought I was third. Hello. Hi, I'm Milan, also known as Mallard on the internet. I will be playing Viren tonight. Viren uses he, they pronouns, and we'll get into descriptions later if I remember.
Cool. Next up, we have Solar.
Hello, that's me. That's my character. My character uses he, they pronouns, but I use they, them pronouns, and I'm Joel. Hi, hello.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Zoe.
Hello. My name is Darby, otherwise known as Chaotic Darby on the internet. I'm also the technical admin for TTRPG. And tonight I will be playing Zoe, middle name I can't pronounce, that's super French, Hargreaves. Do I say who my godly parent is?
You can.
A child of Hades, who definitely has an attitude to match what you would expect. 100%. We both use she, her pronouns, so.
All right. And now, since we're on the topic of Zoe, if we are ready to get started, Zoe, you are having a very weird, terrible demigod dream. You find yourself in a dark void. It's the kind of endless emptiness where you see all of your visions of death, as uncommon as they may be. The air burns your throat and your eyes like the life is just being sucked right out of you. All around you, you can see a thick black fog hovering near the ground, pulsing and shifting like it's alive almost, like something is trying to push its way out of it. And you see that black fog wrapping up and around Althea Cooper. Her trident is nowhere to be seen. The fog winds around her arms and legs, and just as you see her fall to her knees, the scene shifts. You find yourself reliving a memory. You're sitting in a boat on the River Styx, facing Jaden Francis, a boy that's a year or two younger than you, with sandy brown skin and a very full head of tight curls. He is rather transparent looking, which makes sense seeing as it's not really Jay, but his soul that you are escorting to the underworld. Do you say anything to him? Or did you say anything to him?
I don't know if she said anything as much as she tried to like hold his hand. And if he's like having any looks of doubt or fear, just being like, it's okay. You did great things in life and you were well loved.
And Jay just sits there quietly holding your hand too, like he really does need the support. And after a few minutes, when you're almost to the other edge of the river, he looks at you and just asks, do you think he'll make it on his own?
do I know? Oopsie.
And then the vision vanishes and you wake up in your cabin. And you can tell us a little bit about what cabin you wake up in and who else might be there before we shift to our next dream.
Yeah, Zoe wakes up. She's on the bottom bunk of one of the bunk beds in the Hades cabin. She sort of, there's not a lot of kids in the Hades cabin, maybe like 5 or 6 at most, that are kind of all-timers, all-rounders, all year
rounders.
Year rounders, there we go. I know how language works. But she's, it's kind of, everyone has their like own little section sort of decorated a little bit. Hers is pretty sparse. What she has on the wall is a little like foam board tacked up with like law school like these are like target schools.
Mm-hmm.
These are like and
couple LSAT study guides.
Yes, like LSAT study guides. Like these are test scores that you should like gear for, like school schedules and stuff like that. And then maybe a couple photos of like her cabin mates, her friend who's in college right now, her mom. But yeah.
And would you like to tell us what you look like?
Sure.
Appearance with the
yeah, Zoe. Let me pull up that pic crew. I made a pic crew last night in anticipation for this. Zoe has, yeah, we love pic crew. Zoe has dark hair, long dark hair, and bright, like kind of Elizabeth Taylor purple eyes. Just sort of not quite capturable on camera, but if you're looking her in the face, they're purple. She has like always kind of a smile on her face, regardless of whether she's like super happy. It's just natural. She has resting smile face. And when she gets dressed, she's kind of preppy looking. She's got a cardigan, like a bright red cardigan on, and a nice button up outfit. That's kind of her vibe.
Very cool. All right. We are going to shift over to our lovely friend Viren. And since you are not quite the same as the other campers, not technically a demigod, and you're more closely aligned with the nature spirits, you're a little more removed from the immortal bloodline. And your dreams are fairly normal. What do you normally dream about?
I feel like most of Viren's dreams probably are the usual dreams you'd get for someone who has a bit of like the anxiety dreams you get of like the stress of like, oh no, Viren never went to public school, but somehow still has the anxiety of showing up to camp without studying for some sort of test or something.
Very cool. Anything else that you normally dream about, or just anxiety dreams?
Every once in a while, there's just the classic falling dream instead.
Well, since you speak of that awful falling feeling, as you're having these dreams, you just every so often you get just like a tiny flash of something else that interrupts it so quick that you don't really remember it when you wake up. You barely even notice it as it's happening. One of these flashes is the ground shaking beneath your feet. Another is thick black fog creeping through the woods at Camp Half-Blood with a thin green line of smoke running through it. And another is a massive redwood standing before you in a dark, earthy cavern. And then you have the rest of your perfectly pleasant anxiety dream where you show up to the lava climbing wall with no underwear. You wake up and you are in which cabin?
Well, that's the thing, is it's usually whichever one's empty at the moment. Eternally empty. Except for this time. I think, like, didn't we say that my usual sleeping spot is taken at the moment?
Technically, yes. But whichever cabin you wake up in is fine.
I probably would have went to the Hera cabin since no one's ever in there.
Gotcha. All right. So then if you were asleep in the Hera cabin, then there were probably also a couple flashes during your dream of like a very angry queen just like stepping on things every once in a while, just enough to put you on edge. Not like an actual threat, but just enough of a threat. So you're alone in the cabin, and as you get ready, tell us what you look like and who you are.
Viren's got a bit of a youthful air, as they're a wood nymph or a dryad. Not the green skin that you associate sometimes, but on the like darker, more tannish to brown spectrum, with just a tangle of curly hair that goes in a bunch of directions. And it always looks like leaves are stuck in the hair, because whenever he musses it up, like a few twigs and stuff fall out, but there's always more, even if they haven't been around like trees like that in a while. Viren is also over 6 feet tall, pushing on to 7 soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I believe that you said 6'8".
That is correct. Viren is unreasonably tall, but not like lanky tall, like very broad-shouldered and like thick-hipped, almost very, very rooted, you might say, when they're standing, hard to topple.
Very good, very good. All right, we are going to shift to our lovely friend Solar, and you, as a child of Apollo, it's common for your dreams to be mildly prophetic. Unfortunately for you, you also tend to get stuck with the shitty abstract kind of prophetic dreams. Your dream is a collection of moments, only a few seconds at a time, and it's like you're watching them pass by in slow motion. They're stretching out in front of you, but only a few seconds are passing at a time. The first one, you see a hand that glows like the sun pointing at a trail of green smoke that winds into a dark corridor. Then you see from someone else's eyes, walking down a few stairs into a dark concrete basement, carrying a wooden crate marked with the image of a Pegasus that's printed on all your camp t-shirts, a familiar image. Finally, you see yourself. You can't see where you are, but you know you're in a battle, and a figure in a very ragged, ripped Camp Half-Blood t-shirt is lying on the ground across a massive crack in the earth. For just a moment, you wonder if you could actually make it to the other side. What do you do?
I go.
You're gonna go.
I walk.
I move in the direction that I think I can go to and make it in time.
Are you gonna try to jump over the massive crack? This is like probably like 15, 20 feet wide, stretching out.
Since this is a dream, I assume I don't have like full.
Well, you can't quite tell if it's a dream or not.
Well, but going off of my real dreams, I don't have full understanding of anything, so I'll just go instinct and just book it and jump, just because it's the.
So you take a couple steps back, give yourself a few extra breaths for good measure, and you sprint off to jump over this massive crack in the earth. And you leap over. As you're passing over, you can look down and see it just descending into complete and total darkness. It looks like there is nothing down there beneath you. And you're sailing across this gap, and you can't tell if you're going to make it or not. And then you wake up.
Great.
And
that's great.
You are in your cabin. Tell us about your cabin and, what you wake up to and who you are.
I don't remember much of the Apollo family in Percy Jackson, but from what I remember of Apollo in mythology, he's probably one of the more prolific gods. So I imagine I'm one of the older siblings that has the unfortunate thing of waking up at the bottom bunk by the door. And then there's just a line of seemingly identical at first glance siblings stretching down into the distance. And it's really loud and rowdy. And it's like one of those scenes from college movies where they're throwing footballs in every direction. And for some reason, somebody's trying to frisbee indoors, even though that's not supposed to work that way.
Yeah, even though it's like 8 a.m.
Yeah, it's like
a couple youngins are just over, just like throwing things.
They're so loud. And I'm already done for the day. So I'm just wearing my short khakis and the Camp Half-Blood shirt. And I pull on my sneakers because I have nothing else to do. And I have
tell us a little more about what you look like.
Well, I'm a slightly tanned individual because I'm Hispanic. Also, I'm also Hispanic. I don't know why I corrected that. He's like, for a quick image, Prince Charming from Shrek type hair, but it's black instead of blonde, but it's like super messy because he just woke up and he's got cream brown eyes, and that's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. And we have one more dream to get through. Althea Allie Cooper, your dream also begins with a memory. Your feet are planted in the dirt in a rocky area. The rocks rise up on all sides, leaving you feeling kind of like you're in a giant bowl or something. No one on the outside would be able to see in. There's like these walls rise up several feet. You can feel yourself tugging on an old ceramic jar. You have it in your hands and you're pulling, and somebody is pulling back, but there's no one on the other side. You can't see anyone pulling back. And then in front of you, a few feet ahead, there's still someone tugging, but ahead of you, you see your friend Cameron Reuter standing calmly in front of you. Blonde hair, athletic build, common for the children of Hermes. He has no expression on his face, though, only wide, unblinking eyes and blood staining his hair on one side. He speaks to you as you continue to grapple with an invisible force, but it's not his voice. It's the voice of the oracle reciting a prophecy that you've turned over in your head 1,000 times. You shall travel south and sail the coast. Your prize will be found with the child of ghost. Beware the friend who lays hand on the box, for hope will be lost, dashed against the rocks. He repeats it over and over and over like he's taunting you almost. And then the scene changes. And you're sitting on a beach, the beach at camp specifically, where you would usually sit and watch the fireworks. You feel the sand between your toes as the tide comes in and out. It's very peaceful. You feel at home. And suddenly there's a man in a Hawaiian shirt with a big bucket hat, the kind with like the fish hooks and bobbers dangling off of it, sitting next to you. And it is Poseidon. And he's just chilling there. And he just looks over and just smiles. What do you say?
About time you showed up.
There are many burdens to being a god, the worst of which is having to stay far away from your children.
So I guess you showing up now is relevant then?
Unfortunately, yes. I fear that your time may be running out. All children of gods have a fatal flaw of sorts. And while I may not be able to give you any details as I would like, you should focus on yours.
Yeah, coming from the Earth Shaker, who's kind of known for that whole anger thing, that doesn't mean a ton, but I guess I'll try.
It's not your anger that's the problem, Allie. Not even your lack of restraint. Waves can sink battleships just as easily as they can carry a surfer back to the beach. Tide's coming in soon. You have a choice to make. You an army or a surfer? And while you're thinking about it, the dream swirls into black and you wake up in your cabin. Tell us a little bit about your cabin and who you are, how you wake up.
I think since Allie is a year-rounder, it's the classic Poseidon cabin, the low cabin with the 4 bunk beds and stuff, but there is a little bit more flair to it. She's like put up posters of like her favorite rock and pop punk bands on the walls, and she has like all of her stuff there. There's, you know, vanity with like makeup and stuff scattered everywhere. It's not super clean. There's the saltwater fountain for iris messages and stuff. There's her trident is out of bracelet form, just hanging on the wall next to her bed. She's on the bottom bunk. On the bottom bunk across from her is her younger brother, Kai Gomez, who's like 14 years old. He's still sleeping, I think. I think he likes to sleep in. And I have black wavy hair and sea green eyes, classic Poseidon kid looks. I'm average height, kind of average build, but there's some muscle there, and yeah.
Very cool. And how do you go about your typical Friday morning at camp on a Capture the Flag day? Where would you go?
I think Friday mornings. I think it depends on the week. Some weeks it's like leading canoeing lessons. Some weeks it's leading some more like one-on-one dueling lessons and stuff. So I think on Capture the Flag nights, well, I mean, every Friday is Capture the Flag, but like usually focuses on the training aspect and teaching kind of the younger campers, you know, how to fight and make sure that they're prepared for Capture the Flag.
Okay. All right. So is that the first thing you go do in the morning?
No, probably like, you know, gets up, meanders around the cabin, getting ready, puts on shoes, pulls on camp half with t-shirt or tank top, might put on a little bit of makeup if she feels like it. Might try and cover her scar on her cheek. It never really works. And probably like goes to breakfast or something first before going to the activities for the day.
Okay. All right. Any of the rest of you also attending breakfast?
After Zoe gets up after running her lovely, small, adorable hellhound Russ around the camp, she'll go in for breakfast. Can Russ eat Ambrosia food? Because she'll absolutely feed him scraps. Like, well, I don't know if he's eating.
I mean, scraps. Yeah, I don't actually know if hellhounds can eat like the nectar of the gods, but but yeah, as you're taking Russ for a lovely little morning stroll, your dog is just absolutely everywhere, like an untrained Great Dane, bouncing on everything, saying hi to everyone, probably knocking a couple younger campers over, running through bushes.
Oh yeah.
And you make your way to the pavilion for eating, and you've got your loyal companion next to you, eating your scraps.
Oh yeah. I think straight up if someone leaves a plate of food, immediately hoovers it up. Just like
Yes, I'm picturing like the Scooby-Doo tongue just like scoops it all up at once.
yeah. Just,
Perfect. Who else is at the dining pavilion? Ali, you said you were going to get breakfast. Where do you sit?
I think being a year-rounder, she probably has friends in other cabins and like usually goes and sits with like her friends in like the Apollo cabin or the Aries cabin. But I think because of her dream, she's a little shaken, and so she's just kind of sit, because I feel like at this point they kind of, with so many campers, they don't force them to sit at their cabins places. But I think
it's been long enough. For context for the audience, time-wise, this is all taking place a few generations post the events of the Heroes of Olympus series, like 40, 50 years-ish, little under 50 years. So we're several years ahead of time, just for context. But yeah, you'd be able to sit at whatever.
But I think because of just how she feels a little off today after her dreams. So she probably sits by herself at the Poseidon cabin and is trying not to ruminate too much on it, but is also kind of considering, the capture the flag game later and who she wants to try and bring over to their alliance.
Yeah. Do you have any plans for capture the flag pairings, or at least that you would want to act on at breakfast?
I know the Hades cabin is probably siding with the Hunters of Artemis, but I would probably want to see if I can get them on our side.
Okay. All right. So do you want to go try to have that conversation now, or is that something for later in the day?
Probably if I see Zoe in the dining pavilion, I will probably go.
Okay. Yeah. Go right ahead. You're both there at roughly the same time.
Yeah, I pick up my food, just kind of slide into the Hades table or whatever, wherever Zoe is sitting.
She probably sitting just in a crowd of people. I don't think she much cares for the cabin division, but she's like, while Russ is hoovering up food, she is hoovering up like little bits of goss that she can. She's sitting there minding her business, but so-and-so will be like, oh my god, did you see that so-and-so had this book that they stole from so-and-so? And she's like, interesting. She's just listening.
I'm gonna tap the kid sitting next to her like a Hermes kid or something and be like, hey,
moves.
Yeah, and then slide next to her. So I heard you made like a pretty big declaration in support of the hunters for the capture the flag the other day.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, what the Apollo cabin is asking for trouble. I mean, the way that they were mouthing off the huntresses, I really can't stand it, especially, and she's just gonna stare daggers at that one, the mopey poet kid, just who's just off in a corner, alone, not sitting alone because people keep trying to come over and he'll be like, ugh, go away. And she's just especially him. It really ruffles my feathers when people really don't treat each other right.
Yeah. Do we have a name for the mopey poet kid?
That is Connor Johnson, sitting at the Apollo table in it's the middle of summer, right? But this kid is wearing black skinny jeans, a black hoodie, and a black beanie, and they're hunched over a little notebook, just writing things and sighing occasionally.
To be fair, the Apollo cabin doesn't claim him. We only give him permission to sleep with us because we have to.
Look,
Zoe. So he's off sitting at the other end of the table, a couple feet removed from the other Apollo kids.
Oh, God. Zoe, you know that Connor is not even going to be participating. That excitedly with capture the flag,
Oh, I
right?
know. Yeah, of course.
So, and he was the one who kind of slighted the hunters in the first place. And seeing as how, traditionally it's olive camp against the hunters with how they treat us, just want to see if you might consider choosing another side. I mean, I know that you're trying really hard to get into law school, right?
Yeah, a couple different law schools. I mean, I have to do like a undergrad program first, but some of them will fast track you to like Columbia. So
That sounds cool. So I just think if you look at it from like a completely non-biased standpoint, I mean, the hunters kind of deserve it, right?
Hold on, it's give me a moment. Where are the basic moves?
Your basic moves are smite your enemies, perform under pressure, bend fate, sway someone, pierce the veil, and provide aid.
Huh.
Am I technically trying to sway someone here?
I think you are technically trying to sway someone.
Oh God. I mean, she is not gonna back down from her point, though. She made a very public and loud declaration.
Here's the thing.
That is true. Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. Like from the lava rock climbing wall, like all the way down to the beach. It was incredibly loud. I think one of the Apollo kids was like helping you double down by like making it a little magically louder than it really was.
Nice.
So,
I'm just gonna lower my voice a little bit and be like, look, I know that you have like appearances to keep up and everyone kind of knows what you're doing, but like if you want to like help from the other team.
I know tradition dictates. I know what tradition dictates, but also Connor. He really just rankles my kinkles, and I would really just love an opportunity to just kick him a little bit, just a little bit. You know what I mean? And this doesn't come around very often. Okay,
you're totally free to kick him. I'm just saying if there's some confusion on your end as to who's supposed to be doing what job during capture the flag.
Yeah, cosmically speaking, you don't have to be on an opposite team to kick somebody.
Yeah.
Saying.
She just kicks him while he's not looking. Oh my God. Oh no.
Shadow travels away. It wasn't me.
Look, I'll even make sure that Connor is near the river border, the stream border, to make sure that you get some prime kicking in.
And I really appreciate you coming to me and trying, and you have good arguments, but fundamentally the Apollo kids really fucked up trying to step to the Huntresses of Artemis. Also, I already notarized the contract.
You just for the record, you are the camp notary. Nobody else can.
Yeah, no one
did that.
I started the notary classes. No one shows up.
You started a notary club, and you're the only member.
Like sometimes the Athena kids come like through to just see and understand what a notary is, and she has a typewriter.
Can you notarize a contract that you sign yourself?
Yes, if you're the only notary in the area, then unfortunately you do have to notarize it as long as someone else signs off on it. And I got Kyron to sign off on it.
Camp rules.
Camp rules.
Listen, like you can still fight your best on behalf of the Huntresses to get the flag. I'm just saying if you accidentally told the campers the hunters would be guarding it, and you accidentally told the hunters that the campers would be guarding it.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
You should be careful around fog.
Fog?
Yeah, I don't just fog.
I mean,
I know you have the whole water thing, but just weird fog. You know what I mean? Like not fog that you can
control?
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
I mean, fog is already kind of a weird area because it is technically water, but it's also technically in the air. And so there's always like a hit or miss if I guess I'll be careful around fog.
Yeah, it's just a vibe,
it's the middle of summer.
Yeah, but we're also, she's just gonna gesture at the like everyone in the camp. Weird stuff happens a lot. So,
is there a particular reason I should be careful of fog?
No. I'm trying to. There's no role for lying, is there?
I don't believe so. You could do a roll to sway someone if you wanted.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll roll to sway. There's nothing to worry about. She's just being weird. Oh no, but I have high judgment.
For sway someone, you're rolling awe unless you are using a move that tells you to do something.
Right, sway someone. Shit. I was looking at Pierce the Veil. Whoa.
So you would be you have the same modifier for judgment and awe. So
9.
9?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Allie, you probably believe her.
Boop boop.
Are we having a slight technical difficulty?
Oh, I think we did. I'm now Solar on the over.
Oh no! Okay.
I am a tree. Box.
Okay.
But yeah, just no reason. It's just a vibe.
I can work with vibes. Okay, no fog. All right, well, I guess I'll see you later.
Yep. Also, hold on to your trident really tight. Anyways, I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. So, Viren, what is your breakfast experience like? Or are you attending breakfast? Where are you sitting? All of that.
Viren, of course, attends breakfast, but not to eat because at Camp Half-Blood, the Dryads are the one who's serving the foods. So Viren is like just taking plates, passing them around, stuff like that, getting a drink of water every now and again, and largely just gossiping with the other wood nymphs and stuff.
With the other wood nymph specifically. So there's another wood nymph that just kind of acquaintances, marginally friends with, and as you pass by each other, she leans over and she's like, "Hey, did you see what just happened at the Hades table?"
No, I was busy taking the order for the entire Hephaestus cabin.
Yikes. I'm glad I don't have that job this morning. But yeah, it looks like there's going to be some drama at Capture the Flag this afternoon.
It's always fun to watch when that happens.
Right? I love it. I love it when they fight like that. We serve their food and then they fight. And it's entertaining. We serve them and they serve us. It's back and forth,
Are we sure that not everyone in the Pantheon is secretly just part of the entertainment?
With it being Mr. D's like second to last year. The entertainment is getting a little thin, isn't it?
Is. All right, I have like 8 plates of oatmeal to take. Hold on, just all balanced on the arm.
And this other wood nymph will just pass by and keep going. Is there anyone else that you would like to talk to at breakfast?
Not talk to, but just cast an eye over the various tables to see if I recognize anyone doing anything interesting.
Gotcha. What kinds of things would you find interesting?
Not eating or talking, doing something different than what you should be doing.
Different than eating or talking. You think about what tables we have going on and who might be sitting at them. I can't speak and read at the same time. That's my fatal flaw, you guys. I can't speak and read at the same time.
Such a mood, though.
There's a kid at the Hephaestus table that you just came from who didn't give you an order. It's this kid named Lincoln. He's a little bit younger, but not by a whole lot. And well, it's very common for the kids in this cabin to spend most of their time tinkering and being super distracted. This one specifically stood out because he was also the only one at the table like not eating, and he's tinkering with this little, he's got something mechanical going on in front of him. He's messing around with it.
I'll just come by the table again. Hey, is there anything I can get you? Notice you still haven't gotten anything for breakfast. It's Friday, so want your energy up.
And Lincoln is still just like intensely focused on this thing, which you can now see is like almost unidentifiable, not quite. It's a weird round thing that he's got in front of him, and it's got like some different buttons on the outside, and he's like screwing something in, and he just like doesn't hear you. He's too focused.
Just like pass a hand in front.
Whoa, what? Sorry, what's up?
Hey, just wondering if you wanted to get anything for breakfast because they're about to close up the kitchen.
Right. Do you think they have any bacon left?
We have turkey bacon left.
I'll just have the oatmeal. Thanks.
Okay, and I'll go bring it.
And he's like very conspicuously like putting the thing like under the table on his lap. He's no longer kind of hiding it just a little bit.
Strange orb with buttons on it. All right. I'll bring the oatmeal and just pass the rest of the breakfast as normal.
Okay. All right. And then would you say anything to Allie or Zoe for any reason? You have anything to talk about before we figure out what's happening after breakfast? Or does anybody else want to do anything else at breakfast?
I think Zoe would be going from to different cabins that maybe haven't aligned themselves, or just even individuals, because whole cabins don't need to side with.
Mm-hmm.
She's going out to people, and I'd love to use the influencer move that I have to she's trying to sway as many people to join the Hades cabin with the Artemis hunters and the Demeter or the Athena cabin, I think.
Yeah, on your currently you have Athena, the hunters, Hades, and Demeter / Viren.
Yeah, she is. She's trying to recruit as many people as possible.
Okay, let me look at influencer. Oh, what was the influencer move called again?
Influencer. You can roll to sway someone when speaking to an audience, even through mass media. This doesn't work with text or still images, though only video can convey your power. So she's just like,
oh, was that was the one from the Muse playbook?
Yeah.
Where was that? Sway someone, Even through multimedia. This does not work with text or still images, though. Only video can convey your power.
Oh.
So are you like video chatting someone?
Oh God, does
Or
video
do you have like a little video presentation prepared?
Yes. Oh yes. She has like a PowerPoint. You know those like
you're wheeling around a little cart with one of those like old TVs, and you have like your laptop hooked up to it, and there's like a little PowerPoint video on the screen.
Yeah, and she like interacts with it too. Like you ever see that math teacher who like interacts with his video just like that, where she's just like, aha, and look. And if you side with this side, the Apollo cabin very foolishly agreed that they would take about like 80% of the chores if they would lose, right? Because they wanted the Artemis cabin to do all the chores if they lost. We negotiate down to about 80% of the chores, but that means if the Apollo cabin loses, none of us have to do it. I mean, really, it's a win-win situation either way, but
I have one question about your PowerPoint. How many times does the word synergy show up in it?
Synergy is the name of the PowerPoint presentation. It's literally like a Venn diagram showing the 4 cabins that have already like fully agreed. It's like synergy, like the moon. The moon has cycles, and the cycles synergize well with the seasons. The seasons. Demeter cabin. You know what helps with agricultural thinking? Thinking the Athena cabin. So, yeah. And then the Hades cabin's like, you know what also goes well with harvesting? Scythes. And then it'll be a video of her, like, the one good clip she has of her spinning her double-bladed scythe around.
Okay, so this definitely works at least a little bit, but I want you to roll to sway someone to see how well it works.
Hey,
10.
10? All right, so on a 10 plus, they accept your reasonable argument at no cost. So you get to add 2 more cabins to your team. Not the ones that are already placed on sides. You haven't like made some like change sides, but you get to like some undecided ones. You get to
God.
them.
Yeah, 'cause I was gonna say that Aries' cabin would probably side with us.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Because I feel like Allie's friends with like everyone in the Aries cabin.
Mm-hmm.
So the free agent cabins are like all of the minor gods.
Mhm.
Hermes. I'll take the Hermes cabin, please.
Hermes is already with Poseidon and Apollo.
Interesting.
Yeah, those are the 3 cabins together on that side presently.
How about the Zeus kids?
Zeus has not picked a side yet.
Ayos.
And there aren't that many of them, so it probably wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, I'll pick the Zeus kids.
Okay.
Hephaestus? Has Hephaestus chosen a side?
I don't believe so at the moment. The Hephaestus kids are also very distracted, so it'd be a little bit harder to convince them either way.
Probably like
So
a couple, like then, as opposed to like the whole cabin. She's like,
just like a couple of them that are paying attention.
Yeah, the ones that are paying attention, and then specifically, she's like, one of you that I know is like got some weird shit, and you're like that you're building all the time. You.
So you managed to convince there's a set of twins, identical twins, that are sitting like on the end of the table, and they're kind of always arguing with each other, but in a very like, like kind brotherly way, bantery way. And nobody can really tell them apart. It is, I'm thinking of names. Evan and Elias are their names, and no one can tell them apart. They are like identical twins. But everybody does know that one of them has a great track record with working inventions, and the other one has a very long history of everything exploding in front of him. And so they're on your team now.
Hell yes. I would get the one. I put both of them on the front lines, to be honest. Worst case scenario, one of them blows shit up, the other one has a successful experiment.
Incredible. Okay, all right. Does anybody want to do anything else at breakfast?
I want to go talk to our camp counselors. What are they up to? Are they around?
Who are you defining as camp counselors? There's like a few different levels, and I just want to make sure we're
Right.
on the same.
The directors, to be specific.
Oh, the directors. Okay, so they're gonna be over. They're gonna be chilling over at the big house. But you can still go talk to them if you want to walk over to the big house.
If all of the food has been served, I will stride over there.
Yeah, we'll say breakfast is wrapping up. They don't really need you over there anymore. So you traipse on over to the big house, and as you're walking over with the grass crunching beneath you peacefully, you can see Chiron and Mr. D sitting on the front porch playing Pinochle.
Without saying anything, I'm just going to go and observe the game. I've probably learned it exclusively through exposure, and they've never asked me to play.
So you're just like standing right next to them, just like staring at the game without saying anything?
Yeah.
So Mr. D is doing his best to ignore you and just not acknowledge your presence, but Chiron is standing there and says, well, hello. How are you enjoying your morning?
Good. Just got done over at the breakfast table. Got all that stuff done.
Excellent.
I feel like this is the usual morning routine of me coming over and bothering them.
Probably. So Chiron says, that's wonderful. What can I help you with this morning?
Oh, nothing. I was just wondering what I could help with this morning.
Well, there's nothing at present, I suppose. And Mr. D chimes in and he's like, hey, it's your turn. And Miss Chiron is like, oh, yeah, right, yes. And as they go back and forth, there are a couple more turns, you see there's some other like wind spirits and harpies type group of people bringing in some construction equipment around the back of the big house. And you can see them, they're starting to like work on stuff. You hear some drilling and hammering noises and such around back. And Mr. D like pounds his empty Diet Coke can on the side of the house and is like, hey, we're trying to play Pinochle. And they don't get any quieter.
I'm just gonna slip away around. I'm gonna point out to Mr. D like, hey, you got fours right there, and I'll go around to the back and just go check on whatever's happening back there.
So as you're walking around the side of the house, you just get out of sight of them, and then a couple seconds later, you hear Mr. D shout, "Yes, I win again!" And Chiron is just like, the fours. And as you walk around to the back of the house, you can see more of the spirits and such working on construction with near what looks to be an old cellar door, but also just like on the side of the house in general, like replacing siding and things like that.
Did something happen to the big house?
No, nothing happened specifically. You would know via, there was no like official announcement. You would hear from like murmurs and rumors and such that they are doing renovations on the big house. You don't really know why. There's a lot of different theories. And you've heard a few of them, and I have them written down, but of course, I don't have that one pulled up. So I wish that I could talk and read at the same time. That'd be really great. All right. So you've heard a few different rumors. I want you to, I want you to roll plus judgment to see how many of these you've heard.
All right. That's not great. My judgment's 1, so that's a total of 5.
Ooh, okay. So you've heard some things. You've been near enough to conversations that you have heard the big house and renovations like in the same conversations, but not really anything to piece it together. So you don't really know anything that's going on here. You're just like, oh wow, that's a jackhammer you got there.
Hey friends, I'll go talk to someone who's not doing anything and just standing around.
So you see a young Cyclops sitting down on a bench with like a little, your classic like construction dude lunchbox, eating a sandwich with a little water bottle next to him. And he's just sitting there. I missed it. Did you say something to him?
I said, hey friend, what's going on?
Hey friend. And he just looks at you and he's like, renovations.
Yeah, I was wondering why.
They said I wasn't supposed to talk about it. It's a secret.
Oh, secret from the campers, but as you can see, I'm not a camper. Come on, you can tell me.
I don't know. I think they said secret from everyone.
Secret from everyone. Well, dang. I guess I'll have to go back to Chiron and Big D and tell them. Yeah, three of us, kind of like three peas in a pod. I'm, they were over playing Pinochle, and I was hanging out with them, and yeah, I hopefully one day they'll invite me to play the winner.
While you're over there, can you ask Mr. D maybe if we can get ham for our sandwiches? All they had left this morning was turkey.
Yeah, the Aries kid cabin did a bunch of Pilates yesterday, so they needed to protein load this morning.
Yes, and he just takes another couple bites of the sandwich.
But I'll go let him know that we're running out of meats.
Thank you.
And I'll give him the generic thumbs up, awkward.
And he just, bye.
And then I'll just a bit sullenly come back around and watch the next game of Pinochle while there's still nothing to do.
So Chiron doesn't win any of those next games. Mr. D wins all of them. She's very excited about. And then what about our other two? What are you guys doing after breakfast?
I think Zoe is doing like the PowerPoint and stuff and convincing people. Allie is going to friends and people from other cabins and being like, and riling them up with like the feud between the campers and the hunters to get them on their side.
All right. Who are you trying to convince?
I think the Hecate cabin. Since my friend Alec is in that anyway. She's
all right.
there.
Do you think it would be safe to say that Alec would just kind of be on your team anyway?
Yeah, I don't think that would be very difficult.
Okay, all right. So I will add. I have like a running list of the two teams because I will not remember otherwise.
Yep, I've literally already forgotten. So the Aphrodite cabin's probably sided with the rest of the Poseidon cabin, right? Because if Ares on that side.
We don't have Ares anywhere or Aphrodite.
Oh, I wanted Ares on my side.
Okay.
Because I figured that Allie probably has a lot of friends there.
Mm-hmm. That would track.
Now I'm looking at all the minor gods and goddesses,
and so is gonna kind of appeal to their thing against the Hunters of Artemis, because I know at least in the books the hunters tend to capture the flag more often than not, and that is very frustrating for the campers.
Mm-hmm. And lucky for you, the current Ares cabin counselor, the senior counselor, we'll call them Aaron, is really likes a good challenge and just instantly agrees when you're like, I think we could win. We could beat them. Yes, we're gonna beat them. They beat us every year, and we're gonna win.
Yeah.
Now.
I mean, more glory in beating them than joining them, right?
Exactly. Glory in battle and in all things.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
Do any of the minor gods who work with Hades have kids at camp, like Thanatos?
That's a really good question.
Or Styx?
I'm pulling up the Riordanverse wiki to look at what cabins there are at camp.
I know, at least in the books, Thanatos doesn't tend to have kids, but also with the wax in the
so the cabins that were put in after the last Olympian, and there were supposed to be like more added, so there probably are a couple more, but they're not listed in front of me. So aside from the original 12 cabins, there's also Hades, your cabin, obviously. There's a cabin for Iris, Hypnos, Nemesis, Nike, Hebe, Tyche, and Hecate are the other cabins.
Ooh, I think I can get Tyche.
I think I can get Nemesis.
And Nike.
I feel like if you get Tyche and Nike on the same team, that's good luck and victory on your side.
Shit. Yeah. You know what? Zoe is gunning for those two cabins. Like, she's like, hey, yo. Listen.
So are you guys gonna be like trying to like convince him at the same time? Are you like fighting over these cabins?
I think if Allie sees Zoe over there, is just kind of like, and then we'll move on to a different cabin instead of trying to fight. Is just trying to like get to other ones first.
Vice versa. Less like, but like I'm gonna come back around later. Like we'll see. Like not gonna try and outrun out the but we'll be like, yeah, I can try it later. I can try that later. Schmooze some booze later a little bit. You know.
I want to get Nemesis on my side.
You're gonna go over to the Nemesis kids. So as you're conversing with some of the Nemesis kids, your good and wonderful friend Noah walks up and just like sets a very casual hand on the table and is like, "You trying to steal my other cabins, Cooper?"
Your other cabins, Raptus?
You know how it is.
Yeah.
Always has a plan and all of that.
Yeah. Last I heard, you're not really in charge of this whole thing. It's the Hades cabin and the hunters who are kind of taking the lead on this. I wonder if that's, I don't know, bothering you a little bit. Maybe you're trying to get your own little thing going on to suck up to them, maybe.
Oh, Allie. You should know as well as I do, you don't need a title to be in charge.
Yeah. Don't really care what you have to say about that. Just, do you want to leave now so I can do what I'm doing? Because I really want to punch your face.
All right. As usual, I guess we will settle this on the battlefield. And then gives you a little salute and a wink as he walks away.
She picks a rock and then immediately yells and hops on one foot because she may have broken her toe.
Love it.
Takes a water bottle, dumps it over her head, heals her broken toe.
Incredible. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to do around camp before we hit our afternoon
activity?
afternoon activities.
After just inundating the directors with my presence, after a while, I'll just go buzz off somewhere else when they clearly are like, okay, we need to talk about adult things. And I'll head over. Let's see. There's two options for me here. I guess I'll go to whoever I run into first if I go and run into the satyrs and wood nymphs, or if I run into some of the Demeter cabin kids.
Okay. As you are walking over toward like the more like nature activities area, survival skills and whatnot, you cross paths with a girl sitting on a bench, kind of close to the tree line, kind of off to the side. And you recognize her as Katie Francis. She is about 15 years old. She's on the younger side. Well, younger than all of you by a good handful of years. And she looks just like her older brother, Jay, the same sandy hair and sandy skin, very tight curls. And she's got that very cute baby face, freckly kind of look. She's a cute kid. And what you know about Katie, Katie and Jay were one of the very rare sets of siblings that share a mortal parent as well as a godly parent. They're both children of Aphrodite, and they share a mortal father. And you know that her older brother, Jay, as I will recall from Zoe's memory earlier, died the previous year while out on a quest. So Katie this year has been more quiet, a little more removed, kind of shying away from other people, not really interacting quite as much, which, would make sense. But yeah, so that's what you know about Katie. And also for context of our audience, this quest, there were 3 other demigods on this quest. None of them returned to camp after the quest was completed. So you would all be aware of that. So you walk by her, she's just sitting on a bench, just kind of chilling, watching other people do their thing.
I will wordlessly just sit on the bench too. The knees definitely go real high up. Hey Kate, how you doing?
And she turns and looks at you briefly and is like, oh, hey. And the two of you look kind of funny sitting next to each other because Kate is also pretty short. So her feet just barely brush the grass on the ground, and you're hunched up on the bench. She just says, hey, how's your morning?
Good. Was just doing stuff for Chiron and Mr. D as usual. Yep.
What kinds of
things? Didn't see you at breakfast. Skipped it again this morning.
I usually eat my breakfast over here. I don't really want to talk to the other campers.
Yeah.
They was asking me all sorts of things like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And I just don't talk about it,
Yeah, I mean, those questions are probably gonna come for a while.
Really?
Yeah, I've been around this camp for a while. That kind of stuff always gets brought up one way or another.
That sucks. And she'll just sit there, in silence for a moment or two, and you're both just watching out. People are moving between the pavilion and the cabins, and there's some people wandering over to the arena for morning trainings and whatnot. And then after a few moments, she kind of sighs and she says, has anyone ever just left it all behind?
What do you mean left all of what behind?
All of this, just go have a normal life. In the normal world with normal people, normal school,
a lot of people try, they try and balance that kind of life, but and it's certainly possible for a while. It's just kind of tough, especially because of the whole, you know, like even I can smell it. I'm not really even a monster.
Yeah. Well, are you playing Capture the Flag this afternoon?
That's a good question. I haven't figured that out. What about you?
No, I'm not. I'm not playing this afternoon. She has a kind of like almost guilty expression on her face as she says that.
Well, I heard your cabin still already picked their side, so
Yeah, I just, it's, we do Capture the Flag like every week, right? What? Just sit one out.
Yeah, that's. I mean, hey, I won't tell Chiron if you don't.
Cool. And then she just turns and keeps like watching the other campers.
I will sit
chilling
quietly for a little while just to keep her company.
All right. Very nice. And then unless anybody would like to do other things in the morning, talk to other people, etc., I think this is a good moment to go to our break.
Sounds good.
We will return with Capture the Flag. Hello, welcome back to our Demigods adventure, The Beaten and the Damned, episode 1. This is a Percy Jackson themed mini series. If you are just now joining us, which thank you if you are just now joining us, we have just had a lovely, normal, casual morning, getting ready for Capture the Flag, wheeling and dealing, coming across some definitely not sketchy other campers doing things, and we are ready to play Capture the Flag. Everybody is gathering down by the edge of the woods, and you're all kind of standing like roughly grouped by teams. And for posterity's sake, just for the record, I'm going to list off what our teams are. Not every single cabin is on these lists, so if they're not on a list, just kind of assume that they have picked a team, because it's a lot of cabins to go over. So we have the first team led by Athena, and that is Athena, the Hunters of Artemis, who are visiting, and then the Hades cabin, the Demeter cabin, the Zeus cabin, and then Evan and Elias specifically from the Hephaestus cabin. Then team B, the other team led by Ares, we have Ares, Poseidon, Apollo, Hermes, Hecate, and Aphrodite on that team. So you're kind of roughly grouped by, by team-ish. Cabins are kind of milling about together.
Did I manage to get the Taiki and Nike cabins to the huntresses side?
We can say, yeah, sure.
Did I get Nemesis?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. That was.
Let me write this down. Nemesis, and then.
So we're headed. It's being headed by Poseidon on one side, and
headed as usual by Athena and Ares, but it's emotionally speaking, the Poseidon cabin is kind of leading the charge on that side this time. Officially, it's Ares and Athena. But yeah, so you're all gathered down near the edge of the woods, kind of grouped by cabin, roughly grouped by team, and Chiron gallops up in front of you all and announces, "Heroes, you know the rules. The creek is the boundary line. The entire forest is fair game. All magic items are allowed. The banner must be prominently displayed and have no more than 2 guards. Prisoners may be disarmed, but not bound or gagged. No killing or maiming is allowed. I will serve as referee and battlefield medic. Arm yourselves." And then everybody starts to gather up and group and settle things.
Nice. I have a mechanics question. So for this, if we get reduced to like all of our harm boxes are checked, we're not going to die during Capture the Flag necessarily, at least like.
Correct, because it's a camp game.
People are not trying to kill. If it does
come to that, I doubt it will come to that, but if it does come to that,
we're just incapacitated.
Chiron's gonna like magically show up and help you out.
Just double checking.
As battlefield medic. Yeah. Because it is. There's no killing or maiming allowed. And everybody totally follows that rule all the time. There's a poll. Who do you think is gonna win? You know what? I'm a little biased about what's gonna happen, so I'm not gonna vote in that. Because who's to say we will have a winner? Anyway, you hear the horn sound and everybody runs off into the woods. You're getting started with your game, and we are going to start with we're going to go around and have each of you talk about like what magic items or weapons you have on you, and like what your strategy is, what you're trying to do, where you're going in the forest and all of that. And we will start with Allie, if you're ready. You are muted.
It's fine. I'm on top of things. So my weapon is a trident that is can magically turn into a bracelet that I wear on my wrist. Let's see. I think I just have like your average Greek armor on over my camp t-shirt and stuff, and kind of more like leather than metal armor, I would think, just to have more range of movement. Let's see. I don't think I have like much of anything else. I think. I mean, I control water and stuff, which is cool. So I'm gonna like probably be near the creek unless needed elsewhere. I think we have like Aries kids guarding the flag, and I have you know, like different teams like trying to go find the other team's flag and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try and take advantage of water powers and stuff.
Okay. So you're planning yourself by the creek on like a defensive line? Are you trying to go after the other team's flag? What are you doing right here?
I think I have like some of the, let's see. Who do I have Hermes on my team?
Yes.
Okay, I think I have some of the Hermes kids scouting out where the flag is. And then if they find it and I know where it is, I'm going to go after it.
Okay. So they're scouting. They probably would not get back to you right away.
Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, I'm like playing defense and like stopping the other team from getting over the creek and stuff.
Okay. So as you're standing guarding the creek, it's very quiet and calm. You know, like off in the distance, other parts of the woods, you can hear, you know, just like faint clashing of swords and other campers yelling at each other and whatnot. But right here at the creek, it's pretty serene. The water is, you know, trickling over the rocks, and you hear, you don't hear much, but then you just after a couple moments, you listen quietly, and you hear the faint snap of a twig a few feet behind you. What do you do?
I think without even looking back, I think the creek is in between me and what I hear or something.
Are you standing in the creek?
Yes.
Okay. So the snap came from like just past you, like on your team's side of the creek. Like
okay.
Just barely past you behind.
Hello?
There's no response. And you don't see anybody.
I'm just gonna sigh and summon a wave and throw it in that direction. Kind of lazily.
Okay. So as you do that, you're just kind of like flick of the wrist, and this like large wave that really shouldn't be able to come out of a creek just like crashes up and like waves over, and then you see Noah Raptus like kind of stumble forward with a blue baseball cap knocked off of his head, and he turns around, he's soaking wet, and is just like, hey, how's it going?
Oh, I should have known it was you with your stupid hat.
Hey, you're not the only one that's allowed to get gifts from older siblings.
I didn't say you're not allowed. I just said that it's kind of a cowardly move to come at someone from behind while invisible. I mean, I know that you can't beat me in like a one-on-one thing if it was a fair fight, but
you say that I can't beat you, but I'm already on your side of the creek. So who's really ahead here?
Yeah, you know, that's not what I meant. And also, who says other people are on our side of the creek? You know what? You just frustrate me.
That's a good point. There's no one else around, is there?
What do you want? Like, why aren't you just fighting me? You're talking. Why are you talking?
I want the flag. That's all I want. I don't have any ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper, are you trying to say that you don't trust me? That hurts. That cuts deep.
Yeah, I'd say I couldn't trust you as far as I can throw you, but with the whole water powers thing, that's pretty far. So
I would love to see you try, but I got plans. He starts like taking a couple steps
oh my god,
further back up toward your side.
I like hit my bracelet, trident comes out of my hand, and I just start going after him.
So he turns around and books it. And you're chasing after him, I assume. And this, fun, we get to test out combat in this system. So we're going to go with quest rules here. So since you're the protagonist, you go first. What are you going to do?
Okay. Oh gosh, let's see. Let me see my other ability that I took too. I'm going to do. Okay, that's not going to help. I'm seeing if I want to use a move or just smite my enemies. Okay, I'm just gonna roll to smite my enemies with my trident.
Okay, you just gonna lob it at him?
I'm not even gonna lob it at him. I'm gonna like try and I kind of want to say that like in the way that Riptide returns to Percy's pocket, the trident, kind of like how Thor like can pull a hammer, she can like pull her trident back to her. So I want to like throw it past him and then pull it back so that like the handle of it like
clotheslines him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your prowess.
Okay. Let's see. Oh. 8. Oh God, my prowess. I know where everything is on my computer at all times.
I've got the basic moves pulled up too. So if you just tell me what number you got, I can tell you.
I got a 10.
A 10?
Yes.
Okay. So on a 10 plus, choose 3 from the list below or disarm your enemy. The options are exchange harm, combatants trade harm based on weapons. Another option is protect yourself. Another is crush them, gain an advantageous position, make an opening, or take something from your enemy. You can pick 3 of those. Or
I want to exchange harm, gain an advantageous position, and take something from my enemy.
Okay. So yeah, how do you go about doing this? Tell us.
I think, I
describe it.
Clothesline him with my trident and pull him kind of back towards me. And I'm assuming he would like try and like maneuver so that he's no longer clotheslined by the trident. It would fly back to my hand. I want to like try and stun him by smacking him between the eyes with like the blunt part of my trident. And I imagine he has some sort of weapon.
Yeah, he's good, just like a regular run-of-the-mill combat blood sword.
Okay, yeah. So my weapon is an epic weapon, so it does 4 harm.
Mm-hmm. And I believe, I don't remember where it was, but I think a regular weapon just does 2 harm.
Mm-hmm. I think so. And then I think like the gain advantageous position part of it, I like kind of get the high ground, as Star Wars would say. And I think as I smack him between the eyes, I like reach out and swipe his hat.
Okay. So you lob your trident forward and it misses him and he turns around and he's like, ha, and keeps running. But you got him on the backswing and you call it back to you and it just like clotheslines him and he kind of like falls back a little. He falls up flat on his back with the force of this. Trident comes back to your hand. And as you're catching up to him, he is scrambling to stand up straight and try to run away. And when he sees that you're gaining on him too quickly, he turns around ready to fight. You exchange swords, weapons, etc. And you would take 2 harm from his sword, and he takes 4 from your trident. So he's hurting. He's not doing great. And you're able to like best him so that he's on the ground and you've got your trident like pointed right at his face. And you have the advantageous position. And then you swipe the hat. So you're standing above him, trident at his neck, hat in your hand.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Noah, about beating me?
And he just says, man, we gotta stop meeting like this.
You know, your like smooth words and stuff might work on every other girl in camp, but it's not gonna work on me. Your whole thing is just so annoying, you know?
Oh, come on. You gotta admit you like it.
I can admit to a lot of things. I can admit that I was the one who put slugs in your bed in the 9th grade. However, I will not admit to liking anything you have going on. So instead, what would you do to get this family heirloom back?
Hey, you're the one that's still talking to me. Why haven't you taken me prisoner yet, Cooper? Isn't that a thing in Capture the Flag?
Yeah, well, a thing in Capture the Flag too is also the whole double crossing people thing. And you would know something about that, being someone who's in charge of Capture the Flag so often.
I am in charge of Capture the Flag. Does it still feel like that?
What do you mean?
I suppose it wouldn't. I'm having a brain blank. So he's like, I suppose it wouldn't. You know, you've been standing here distracted for an awfully long time, haven't you, Cooper?
Just you're a prisoner. Get to the prisoner thing. Hold on. And then I think she calls into the woods, Kai, to her younger brother.
And this awkward lanky kid comes running through and he's like, what's up?
Yeah, I knew you would be around here somewhere. Noah Raptus, you're familiar. I believe I have ranted about him before to you. In fact, I believe you've seen me.
Kai just gives Noah a little side eye. It's just like, I'm familiar.
Yeah. Okay. You're going.
I love that I leave you speechless.
Can you shut up? Okay. Kai, how are your sword lessons coming along?
I don't know, Kai, how are they coming along? And you remember that Noah often leads combat training for Kai. And Kai just looks again and is like, it's going fine. It's going great.
I was going to have you take Noah back to the prisoner area. However, I'm
Do you
now
want to do it
seeing-
yourself?
You know what? I can take you prisoner and just drag you with me. It's fine.
Ooh, authoritative.
Kai, go back to whatever it is you're doing, stalking me, watching me do water stuff, trying to learn, whatever. Back into the woods with you. Okay, Noah?
He disappears behind a tree.
You're going to shut up. And if you are quiet for the rest of this game, maybe I will consider giving your hat back.
I do love that hat. That's not really in my skill set, though. See, I'm a talker. I'm a people person.
Okay, you can talk all you want. Just be my prisoner for the rest of this game.
I thought you'd never ask.
Oh my God. Back to the river. Just
And
drag.
we'll transition to another one of our players as you're like dragging him through the dirt to wherever your team's keeping your prisoners. So let's scoot on over to Vera and Zoe. Which one of you wants to go next? Zoe, go for it.
I got it. All right, so with the and we have a certain stratagem set up that I definitely didn't scribble down so I wouldn't forget. So I think Zoe is standing guard by the banner, just given the nature of how unpredictable her weapon can be. She doesn't want that many people near her.
Mm-hmm.
So
tell us a little more about your weapon.
There.
Give us the spiel.
Oh yeah. So Zoe is all about justice and kind of in the same vein, balance in the universe. If something bad happens, she tries to make something good happen. Living life, you know. So her weapon is this large double-bladed scythe. So if you think of like those like flag bearers in marching bands with big flute, she's like the kind that weapon operates like that, just spinning.
I'm very familiar with the color guard.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely super familiar with marching band. Yep, but yeah, that's how her weapon works. It's just like huge blades. Taller than she is. Not that she's very tall, but like together, it's like big.
Yeah, standard marching band
very
size
descriptive.
Like 6 feet.
Mm-hmm. Just sharp, just pure black bronze metal. Just yeah, she's like, people should stay far away from me and Russ.
I do not know if your weapon has a specific name, but a few of the other campers jokingly call it the windmill.
That's totally fine.
Kind of behind
Donkey
your back.
Wow, it is crazy. Yeah, yeah. And then she has the Artemis kids kind of scattered throughout like the tree line to get like Bo and Athena kids and her were strategizing Demeter. Demeter kids are getting plants to help give like coverage and foliage. And I think she has the rest of her, unlike her, maybe some of the other Hades kids have like shadow travel, like Nico does. And she's having them like scout in between the trees for the flag on the other side, and then convey that back. That's
so. Are you?
And the Athena kids
so
just
you're
being
by
like,
the flag, right? There's others in enemy territory. Okay, you're by the flag. All right. Is there anybody else that's guarding the flag with you? You can have 2 guards at the flag.
I think she has probably a kid of one of the Nike cabin kids that she knows is like really good at fighting. Keeping victory close at hand. To stand by her. Oh yeah, they have their flag planted like on, not like super high up, but like definitely a little more high up that you'd have to climb a little bit to get at them, so that way they can kind of see where people are coming from. It's a bit of a clearing. Yeah, I definitely didn't think about this strategy a lot.
No, you're great. You're good. So the Nike kid that is standing with you is it's a really like tall, athletic girl. We're gonna call her Molly. Molly is like classic, like tall volleyball build, and holds standard issue Camp Half Blood sword, and of course is wearing Nike tennis shoes. It's a little on the nose. She doesn't quite see that, but everybody else does. So she's not the greatest at talking. She's a little awkward, but she's a good fighter and she's on your team. So she's standing there with you, and it's fairly quiet in the woods. As before, there's swords clashing in the distance and campers yelling and all of that. So, are you starting any kind of conversation, or what are you doing?
I think Zoe's just like, so like, I think if as long as we keep an eye on the surroundings between our different strategies, we should be able to pull this off. Victory will be ours. She's just kind of chatter. Zoe's just a very jovial person. She very much wants to win, but not because she cares about winning. She wants to win because she thinks the kids are wrong, and this is the way to prove it right. So she is
naturally.
She's absentmindedly just windmilling away from, like, if they're circling opposite ends. So she is staying far away.
Gotcha.
Ross at the bottom of the hill. Yeah.
So you're just talking, joking around a little bit, trying to stay like kind of quiet. So like if there's enemy spies, they can't hear where the flag is. And after a brief moment of like kind of awkward silence, after you have made an especially heinous pun, Molly's just like, so like, is it true what I heard about you at breakfast?
Is what true?
That you were talking with Allie about the game.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Allie was trying to, but I mean, let's be honest. The Apollo kids have this coming. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't have asked. Sorry.
No, it's okay. This is okay to be. Listen, I'm an open book. Honest as they come, which I know like every lawyer is gonna say, but like, no, go. I mean, if you wanna ask, like, no, I did not make a sly deal to betray the team. I'm not going to backstab anyone. I honestly, I had like a weird dream that I also wanted to convey to Allie.
What kind of a weird dream?
Just, it might have been nothing. When people appear in your dreams, it's like, ooh, like scary stuff is happening. But it's sometimes
I don't really have dreams.
What? That's crazy. Is that like, because I wonder if like dreams are tied to like our parents. Do other kids in your cabin have dreams?
I mean, probably.
Or do they not have dreams? Have you never had dreams?
We don't really talk about it.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
I like to talk about volleyball.
I mean, volleyball's kind of fun. You watch like, Haiyu, Haipu, there's a show.
I'm
about
volleyball. Surfer. I play on the team here.
No, there's a show like it's like a Haikyuu, like it's about volleyball. I think you'd really, really like it. I think it's like, it's got like a good plot line. It's like a sports show, but like they're really cool and it's like super fun. It's like an animated show. I mean, not that really, left camp much to be able to watch stuff, but when I hear about it,
I don't really
I know
watch
you really like it.
TV except sports. I watch the Olympics for volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
Do you watch the Olympics?
A little bit. It's a little hard, just kind of given the state of the world and the socioeconomic status of the countries really kind of enjoy the Olympics, even our lineage. But it's really hard to ignore the fact that the Olympics sort of destroy any sort of city or area that they enter into and ruin the economy. I mean, the Sochi Olympics just moved out a bunch of homeless people because it's like at this point she's like honed in on like injustice.
So I imagine you're like pacing back and forth, kind of like yelling this at the ground at this point, like not even really. And Molly's just standing there like not
like nothing.
Is definitely like no thoughts, only volleyball. Only volleyball, only guard the flag.
Yeah.
Very
the 1980s Olympics in Canada was the only one to ever make any money back from housing the Olympics. And otherwise, it's like, I mean, lots of countries have money go missing, like millions and millions of dollars just go missing when they try and set up the Olympics, which is incredible that they keep hosting the Olympics. And it's crazy because the judges are always like super biased towards the country like of origin, that they're being hosted in. It's because they keep letting corrupt judges in. And it's like insane to me that they keep letting this happen. And these judges, they're getting away with it. You know what I mean? They're letting people who shouldn't win the Olympics, and they're getting fooled. And she's like getting very heated.
And then as you're ranting, she's kind of like every once in a while interjecting, and you're just like kind of not acknowledging it. So she's like, "Oh, we played against a Canadian team once," and you just keep going over it.
Yeah.
And as you're like going on this rant, you are a little distracted, and you don't hear a couple of the I need to look at what team you're on. There's a kid that's coming up, and there's like a couple twigs that snap, but you don't really hear because you're talking pretty loudly at this point.
Would Russ have heard these twigs snap?
Oh, that's right. Russ is in here. Russ probably would have heard. So you're ranting, you miss the first couple, and then all of a sudden Russ like goes into like one of those like play bow things, like barks a couple times, tails like wagging furiously, and like nose pointing off, like just past the trees a little bit.
Zoe at that point would stop talking and kind of go like point at the tree line. God, I already forgot her name. I was sorry. Molly. I was like super into the right, but like
Molly meets the eye contact and is like right and makes one of those like those weird like military team hand signal thingies that's like
yeah.
And then she's like, she has her sword up and she immediately looks like 10 times more competent than she did 4 seconds ago. Like she's ready to fight.
Yeah.
And you're both just
so he's twirling the scythe. Just not only just that spot, but like is just watching the tree line and watching for any compressions of the ground.
All right, so you don't hear anything else. Whoever was making noises has like frozen. Like they're trying not to make any more noise or be seen.
Oh. Can she she would have had asked Artemis kids to be scattered throughout the tree line stuff. Can she ping any of them? Like eyeball any of them? Or are they
so you can like look up, and if you like a little whistle, like a bird call or something, so one of them will look down, like start scanning, and then they're looking, and after a couple seconds she calls down there, and there's she points like down like right behind a tree, like that's really close in front of you.
Russ, wait. Gonna get Russ to like run off at this person.
And you see Viren behind the tree. And Viren, what are you doing behind the tree?
Trying to climb it.
Viren definitely just appeared at that moment. There's like a green light that's on the bark, and then Viren steps out like underneath and then sees Russ running like full tilt. And Viren's weapon is a completely non-magical shepherd's crook. So I'm going to try and hook Russ's collar and just toss him behind me.
Bold of you to assume Russ has a collar.
So hellhounds are like really big.
That is fair.
Like you might be almost 7 feet tall, but hellhounds are like really big. Like this dog probably weighs like close to 300 pounds.
I mean,
like,
I'm pretty
just
tough,
a massive like black Saint Bernard barreling toward you.
Feed that baby nectar every morning. He big.
In that case, am I next to the tree with the flag?
Yeah, you're real close because Zoe and Molly were just guarding the flag, so you can see the flag.
I probably have like the arm like to just snatch it, right?
Well, you're not like right under it. You have to like circle back in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a clearing here,
Yeah.
baby. Like they're on a.
I would love
bit of a
to
hill.
just sprint towards the flag and try and grab it.
Sprint for the flag. Okay. All right. Zoe,
Come on,
you gonna
baby.
stop him?
Huh?
So you're gonna try to stop him?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like as soon as Viren appears, like I guess have Molly go first. Actually, in retrospect, because again, weapon big, unwieldy.
Okay.
Don't want to get too close.
So Viren is running toward the flag.
Would this be a
And are
perform
you gonna
under
try to-
pressure?
Perform under pressure. I was trying to figure out which one would be a good roll. Yeah, perform under pressure. So that's 2d6 plus your metal modifier.
Oh, you mean my best ability?
Oh,
I see what
Are
you're
you actually kidding me? I rolled a 5 plus 2 is 7. So
On a 7 to 9, there is a complication. Choose one option from the list. Your options are: it takes longer than it should, something breaks, take 1 harm, the result is only partially effective, or your next roll is with fate's disfavor.
I'll take a harm.
You're
As
gonna
I
take
try
one
and
harm?
get the flag, yeah.
Okay, so as you're running toward the flag, you're sprinting, Molly is like standing there ready for it, and she takes a big old swing up with like the hilt of her sword and kind of catches you on the chin as you pass. You take 1 harm from it, just like the hilt of the sword, not the actual blade, but you still stumble forward and you manage to reach up and snatch the flag off the pole.
Can I just like
can I
Zoe,
get a go at Viren?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it, Zoe, and then
I would.
Viren, you can go again.
Okay. I would love to smite the enemy.
Smite your enemy. Okay.
I'm going to
Roll
use the
2d6.
whirlwind,
Okay. Oh, whirlwind. Okay.
which allows me to smite with my judgment. I just cannot. I cannot protect myself and
Okay.
incur collateral damage. But at this point, everyone's sort of moved away from her. So let's go. Let's go.
What did you get?
11.
You got an 11. Okay. 10 plus. Choose 3 from the list below, or disarm your enemy. You can exchange harm. You can't protect yourself. You can crush them, gain an advantageous position, make an opening, or take something from your enemy.
I would definitely like to take something from my enemy first
Okay.
of all. Give me that. That's good. Give me
Snatch that flag.
Yep. I guess I'd love to exchange harm.
Okay.
And do crush them. And then make an opening for Molly.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So exchange harm. So you trade harm based on your weapons.
I have an epic weapon.
So yeah, so yours does 4. And then with crush them, that's actually 5 because it's plus 1 harm. So Viren, you take 5 harm.
That'll put me at 6 total now.
And non-epic weapons we said did 2 damage, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Zoe, you take 2 damage. Viren, got to like get a good knock in with the shepherd's hook, just enough to like rattle your arm, but not really do anything.
Yeah.
You have the flag. And then Subs Extreme Heart, crush them, and take something from enemy. Okay, so yeah, tell us how you have made this happen.
So Zoe, as Viren approaches and starts to try to leave with the flag, I think Zoe is swinging this blade around and will almost around Viren's body, like launch it and have it rotate around Viren's body. The back end of one of the blades, the not sharp end, will knock his hand with the flag, which she'll grab. And then when it comes back around, she'll start twirling it again and then like slice across as it comes back, and then kick him backwards so that he's off balance and starting to roll down this like incline, so that Molly, who's waiting down below, can get a good solid swing at him. And then she'll return to she'll like be holding the flag as she's like twirling and looking for the next person coming up.
Mm-hmm. So Molly, upon being given this opening, isn't going to take another swing because she can see that your fine tree friend is on the ground and just kind of like holds the sword up and be like, prison, jail.
Bonk, go to flag stealing jail.
That's fair.
So, and then I believe Hades and, oh no, that's a different team. Okay. So you guys now have a prisoner. Where's your team's prison?
People can tag others out of prison. Is that correct?
Yes.
Far away from the flag.
Okay.
Very okay. Like have Athena kids take Viren off somewhere. Specifically, just not any one of the Demeter kids.
Okay. All right. We are going to shift back to Allie. What are you up to at this point? Have you dropped your prisoner off at your team's jail?
Well, my plan was not to drop him off in jail, but to keep him with me because I don't want to go away from the border, but I don't trust anyone else to take him to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just kind of been hollering around. I think I had because usually people who fight with tridents have like nets of some sort. So probably has like his arms like wrapped up like this, on this side, so he can't move, but he can still walk. And just is like leading him around as she patrols the border and waits for the Hermes kids to come back.
He's just kind of trailing along behind you, and eventually he's like, I don't see a jail anywhere.
Well, maybe that's because I'm not taking you to jail.
Ooh, where are we going?
Well,
Smooch Town. Zoe across the way is just like
gotcha. psychic connection.
My senses are tingling. My shipping senses are tingling.
Her wealth vibe is not for money, it's for gossip.
Knowledge is power, baby.
All right. Well, I'm keeping you next to me. Don't give me that look.
Are you?
Until the Hermes kids get back. And once I find out where the flag is, they'll take you to the prison and I'll go get the flag.
I think you just want to keep me here next to you.
Yeah, that would require me actually being able to tolerate your presence for more than a little bit at a time. So
yeah. So it's so intolerable that you just have to keep me close by.
Listen, I'm not stupid. I know that you're one of the top fighters in camp. I'm not going to trust someone else to take you away unless they have a group of people. So,
Cooper, was that a compliment?
yeah, well, don't get used to it.
Hold on. Sorry. I don't think I heard you the first time. Can you say it again?
You're not as good as I am, but you might be good at some things.
Some things?
Some things.
Plural. There's a list?
Like 2 things.
What's the other thing?
Being annoying.
Man. Well, then I guess all you have to hope for is that the Hermes kids don't get here that quickly.
Can I just knock you out? Is that allowed or does that count as maiming?
I'm going to say it counts as maiming. And you guys banter back and forth for a while longer because this man does not shut up ever.
And Allie cannot not take the bait.
Exactly. And eventually, who was it that you said was going to show up? Hermes?
Yeah, it's some Hermes kids who were scouting.
Okay, so one of the Hermes kids comes over and is like, how long have you been holding on to this kid?
Too long.
Yeah. All right. Come on. And gestures to Noah.
Okay, wait, where's the flag?
Your flag or the other team's flag?
The other team's flag that you were scouting.
Oh, right. And this Hermes kid just casts a sideways glance at Noah and is like, if you go beyond, you know that one grove that has a big old stack of weird rocks kind of by it?
Zeus's
there's
fist?
Yeah, that one. It's like that, a patch of trees, and there's one tree that's really short and scrawny.
Uh-huh.
Not like the others. It's there.
Okay, well, that should make sense. They usually put it by Zeus's fist anyway. Okay, well, Noah, I will give you your cap back at the end of this game, okay?
Man, you sound just like my English teacher.
Yeah, well, not all of us leave camp and have English teachers, okay? So let's stop bragging about it.
If you say so. And he just trails off behind the Hermes kids. And you are free to go after the flag if you so choose.
Okay, I'm gonna put on the cap. Does it work?
The cap, yeah. I mean, because it works for everybody that puts it on. So you put on the cap and
just making sure that Athena's this works on anyone except Poseidon kids. Okay, I'm gonna put on the cap.
That'd be really funny though.
And make my way towards Zeus's fist.
All right. So near that, where the other team's flag is, you would see Zoe and Molly. Or I guess maybe just Zoe. I think Molly's probably... No, I think this probably has just happened. We'll say it's just happened. So Molly and Viren are still there. And Allie's coming up to take the flag.
Yeah, Zoe's on high alert. And Russ as well. We'll probably have come back from... Probably just chased Viren I'm a dog!
Yeah, was ready to play all over. But our friend Allie here is invisible. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you the advantage of going first and being sneaky, however you may choose.
Viren,
do you have something to say?
I have the ability called Divine Senses. Would I be able to detect Allie?
I think you would probably... the closer she gets, you'd probably be able to detect some disturbances in the grass, the leaves on the ground. But it's your choice whether or not you want to say something about it.
I'll say to Zoe, hey, if you let me go, I'll tell you a secret about the enemy team.
And before we get through that, Allie, what do you want to do?
I think Allie is going to take the net that she had Noah tangled up in, is going to sneak around to like behind Zoe, throw it on top of Zoe, and grab the flag and try and start running.
Okay, so since you're invisible, I'm going to say you don't have to roll for that. So, Zoe, you have this large net cast over you. What do you do?
God, I think is her flag the flag yoinked from her hand?
Go ahead and roll for the yoink, Allie.
Okay, what am I rolling?
We'll roll for perform under pressure.
Oh God. Okay, let's see.
Heat is on. And while this is happening, I just want to acknowledge for the audience and the sake of the stream, for the record, our other player, Joel/Solar, is also on the same team as Allie and is therefore kind of tagging around there. So come the next episode, they will also be here in this scene.
I rolled a 9.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, there's a complication, and you get to choose one option. It takes longer than it should. Something breaks. You take 1 harm. The result is only partially effective, or your next roll is with fate's disfavor.
Let me see. Let me just look at those real quick because I have auditory processing stuff and I need to read it myself or else I don't hear anything. Okay. 7 to 9. I'm gonna say I'll take 1 harm.
Take 1 harm. Okay. Who is
sticking out?
Yeah, who is dealing this harm?
Yeah, I like the idea of Allie like stepping on the blade of the scythe that's like pointed up or like tripping over it or something, and like as she grabs the flag and is like, oh shit.
Yeah, it like nicks you on the elbow or something like that. It's an awkward weapon, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Allie has tripped on the scythe, but has still grabbed the flag from its place on the pole or branch or whatever it's on. And you are working your way to get the net off, yes? What is Viren doing?
Is it possible to use my
Probably.
I would love to try, maybe this is band fate, I'm not sure. I'm trying to use my control over fear to make Allie afraid and drop the flag, essentially. Just like she's tangled up in the net. She sees a flag's been taken. She's just going to, she does this probably get to hit a lot of people, but just create this like bubble of fear to make everyone just drop what they're holding and run as far as they can from her.
Okay.
Just like
I'm gonna say yes, you can do that. But right before that happens, Viren, is there anything that you would like to do in this scene?
I imagine this is probably a bit of a scuffle going on now, especially as I forget her name, the other volleyball.
Molly.
Yeah, Molly.
The Herbo.
The Herbo.
I'll try and distract Molly by saying, "Hey, are we still on for volleyball practice next week?"
Volleyball?
And then take that as my opportunity to just jump out, just run, and tree stride.
Okay. So Zoe puts up this big old bubble of just fear. Describe for us what that looks like and feels like for everyone around you.
Okay, I think Zoe just she's like tangled in the net. She's like trying to untangle herself and knowing that it will take a little while, especially trying not to stab herself with her own weapon. She's just gonna breathe in, breathe out, and just this, it's like the shadows around everyone get pulled in around her, and sort of pull up into this form and just takes the form of like something terrifying for each person, but just this amalgamous shadow shape just reaching and raising up that she is kind of forming to just hit, just to make everyone drop everything and run.
So you suck in the shadows from the nearby like 40 feet radius of the forest and create this terrifying, huge ghost-like shadow form above you. And as you are doing so, the ground rumbles a little bit, shakes just a little bit, just enough to like slightly throw you off your balance. And then after a few seconds, after everyone is like frozen in fear, the shadowy form that you've created like crashes down, and there is black smoke everywhere, but it's more like a black fog everywhere.
Oh shit.
Just like you can't see anything. Like the forest is completely like you can't see 3 feet in front of you, and there is just thick black fog everywhere.
Does this look like her dream?
And as you have a few seconds of just like what is happening, like you're like it doesn't quite like hurt your lungs, but you feel the urge to cough because it's just so thick in the air, like it feels humid. And then the earth is still shaking just a little bit as this is happening, and then it all dissipates and it settles and it starts to fade out, and you can see things now, except you don't see the forest anymore. You are all, when the fog clears, you find yourself in this gigantic underground tunnel.
I knew it.
And you're in this tunnel, and it's silent for a few seconds. You're not really sure what has happened. And then you start to hear some shouts very distantly down, echoing off of walls, and the echoes of other campers calling out for their friends, for Chiron, for you. And the echoes fade into the earthy walls until you are left in silence. And as your herald for this evening, and as your friend, it is only appropriate that as we wrap up session 1 of The Beaten and the Damned, I wish you a warm and friendly Camp Half-Blood welcome to the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Wait, is Molly with us?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Molly does. So Solar, Viren, Allie, Zoe, Russ?
Russ.
Oh boy. Russ and
Molly
and Solar, we're all of us are down.
So you're all
with the leaders of both sides gone. That means that my faction's probably gonna win capture the flag.
Well, Allie still has the flag.
I have the flag.
Oh,
you heard all the other campers through the tunnels. It's safe to assume that you are not the only ones in this situation. But anyway, I think it's time to do outros. And I'm going to go first. So we're going to start with, top on my screen, we're going to start with Allie. Tell us a little bit how you're feeling, how Allie's feeling, and where we can find you on the internet, and all that good stuff. Anything you want to say to the lovely audience?
I'm feeling great. Everything is going better than I hoped. Allie is like, damn, Zoe's been holding out on us. What did she do?
Zoe's like shitting bricks. Like
yeah, I think this is great. I am Imagine Matrix on the internet, so Instagram, Twitter, any of that stuff. If you want to see my cosplay, which is my main focus, you can check me out there. Other than that, I'm super excited to see where this goes next week. Also, shout out to Kelsey for playing Noah Raptus better than I could have ever hoped. That's exactly how I pictured him.
I need you to know how excited I was for that. I have read so many enemies to lovers romance novels in the past like year and a half. It is It's everything I ever could have
A
wanted.
plus. It's my favorite and I was like, well, maybe I'll make this rival and like I won't romance them. It's fine. I'll just have a rival. And then I was like,
you never know. You might not see him again in the game.
Who knows?
He's somewhere else.
We might never see him again. But yeah, I was like, what is happening? Okay, so it was great. It was great. The end.
Wonderful. And let's move to Viren, aka Milan. How are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Feeling great. I'm on 1 harm remaining on my tracker, so that's awesome. Luckily, Viren is tough as nails. Literally has divine constitution. First thing I picked. I'm Milan, also known as Mallard on the internet. You can find me on Twitter. That was just posted in chat, MallardMan_. If you're watching later on a VOD, please go and follow me. I am on the cusp of getting 100 followers on Twitter, and that would be amazing to have happen soon. In addition to that, you can find me on my Twitch stream, which is twitch.tv, not .com, /MallardMan. I stream not so regularly, but other than that, I don't have any shows to announce at the moment. Hopefully by next stream.
Wonderful. All right. And Zoe, aka Darby.
Hello. Hi.
How are you doing?
I am doing A-okay. I'm Darby, otherwise known as Chaotic Darby on the internet. You can find me on Twitch or Twitter as Chaotic Darby. Otherwise on the internet, you can catch me every other Tuesday. I think this upcoming podcast with It's the Riddler, the lovely It's the Riddler as the GM. And besides that, I was on Twitch, so if you want to drop a follow there, that'd be super swell. I'm almost at triple digits, and I need to figure out my stream schedule because my work schedule changed. So, but yeah, that's cool. You should check me out there. I see my internet is doing a heckin' hurt. So I'll freeze frame myself on a nice picture of me.
All right, thank you very much. I am Kelsey. I have been your herald for this evening. I am so excited about this game and about what's coming next for everybody. I have so many plans. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good time. I am the communications director for this wonderful channel right here, TTRPG. So you can find me hanging out in the Discord sometimes if you want to join that little tiny special plug. You can find me on Twitter as @crochet_BBY. You can find me on TikTok as crotchety old woman with there's little underscores in there. You'll find it if you go to the link in my Twitter bio. There'll be a link to my TikTok. There'll also be a link to my Ko-Fi where I sell crochet and knitted things. It's pretty cool. There's lots of fun hats. And then last but certainly not least, you can find me here on this show next week on a Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. EST, where we are going to, just have a little Camp Half-Blood fun in the Labyrinth. We're gonna have a great time. Yeah, and I really hope we see you all again here next week.